Hi, my name is Sally Jasmine, and welcome to the Mind Behind the Mindset podcast. Before we start this episode, I just want to thank you for being present for the next 30 minutes or so together. I hope this episode helps you in any way as much as it helped me while I'm doing it. I hope it is as meaningful as it is for me. And I want to say also, I hope that it brings you clarity. I hope that it brings you hope and that my words resonates with you and that it suit your mind. At some point, I'm going to get this introduction in one shot. I'm just saying. I'm continuing. If this episode resonated with you in any way, then don't be shy to like, comment, subscribe, or share it with your community, your friends, your family, whoever you think that episode would help. I want to say thank you for being present. Thank you for making my dream a little bit more real. So today on the episode of The Mind Behind the Mindset, we shall be diving into a subject that is really important to me, and I thought that it'd be really important to talk about it on the podcast. Today's subject is limiting beliefs. Now, what is a limiting belief? From what I understand from books and research, a limiting belief is a thought or a conviction that restricts a person's potential by creating a false sense of reality about their abilities or their possibilities. It often originates from the past experience, norms, or external factors, has an impact on our behavior, our decisions, and our overall quality of life. A limiting belief, I'd like to say we all feel it at some point. I have many, and I've been having many for my entire life. Some of them I was able to grow out of. Some of them still have this grasp on my reality on some certain subjects. This limiting belief is also like a self-imposed limitation. It's like those mental barriers that stops you from achieving certain things or being able to look at yourself in a certain way, to feel confident or not confident, or just worthy of something, not worthy of it. It often has this negative self-perception, this low sense of self-worth, self-confidence that comes with it. It can be manifested by avoiding challenges, avoiding to take risk, avoiding to try new things, and it has this big impact on your decision making. Now, I know last week we talked about imposter syndrome. Imposter syndrome and limiting beliefs are what I would like to say close friends. They're not the same thing, but they're close friends. Let's give examples of limiting beliefs. Would be I don't deserve this car, I don't deserve this life, I don't deserve this promotion, I am not ready for a new relationship, I am not ready for this new opportunity, I am not ready to take this picture, I am not ready to step forward. It could be I am too old to start a business, or I'm too young to start learning about this, or people like me can never achieve things like that, or people like me can never have as much money, or people like me can never grow a podcast this big, whatever. All those little I can't, I don't, I'm not worthy, all of those words you hear are limiting beliefs. And most of the time they are reinforced by past experiences. For the longest time, I was like, I don't deserve these nice clothes, because I was never someone who was worrying about what I looked like. I'm someone who got bullied a lot and had this, got bullied upcoming, being bullied in primary, being bullied in high school, and I often just wanted to be invisible. So for me, wearing nice clothes wasn't something that was important. Wearing clothes that that made me blend in was something that I really wanted, I really craved, because I wanted nobody to see me so I wouldn't get bullied or anything. That was my big limiting belief of I am not worthy of shining. I am not worthy of taking my place into this world. And I was able to get out of it and grow out of it. And now I'm comfortable when I'm wearing, with the clothes I'm wearing. I'm not afraid of buying clothes that show more skin or that show more of my, I would like to say curves, but I really don't have them, so who am I to say that I have curves? Whatever. But I mean, just to show my body. I also used to be like the type of girl that just, wear her hair in a ponytail, because I have those I get a big fro sometimes, and I remember those kids, I used to like throw paper and they used to eat the paper and then just, throw it through a straw type of thing. So that kind of blocked my head on it. So for the longest time, I wasn't feeling comfortable wearing my hair, and now I do, and I do a bunch of little hairstyles with it, and I'm confident in it. So those limiting beliefs, you can get past them, because often when they're being reinforced by past experience, and they've been reinforced, they feel like those big walls that they don't want to go. They don't want to leave you, and you're trying everything, and sometimes you don't even realize you have them. That's when, to be able to figure out, hey, what are my limiting beliefs? What are your limiting beliefs at the moment? Let's take a second, just take a second to think about it. Do you remember some things you keep saying to yourself? It could be, I'm not pretty enough to wear this, I'm not in shape enough to wear this, or I'm not in shape enough to try this sport or this activity, or I'm not smart enough to do that. Listen to your inner speech. That inner speech will let you know what are your limiting beliefs. And you can't start working on those limiting beliefs if you don't know what they are. So try to be more attentive to why. What are you saying to yourself that is those self-imposed limitation, or this negative self-perception of yourself? Try to see if there's a common pattern around it. And if there is, that's when you know you found one. And then the hardest part is working on it. Because sometimes you think you did something good and you're achieving it and you're finally getting slowly over it, and sometimes other days it just feels so heavy. For example, what are my current limiting beliefs? And, pause here. When I decided to do this podcast, I decided that no matter what, I was going to be true to myself, because I know that I will want to go back to a certain episode further down my journey, my own life. I will want to go back and listen to what I was saying. And by doing that, I want it to be as much authentic, can't say that word, authentic, as I can, because that's just what you guys deserve, but that's also what I deserve, is to be truly myself. So by what I'm gonna be saying is all true, not faking, not doing anything, but I'm gonna be saying things that might surprise you, and sometimes it feels good to say it out loud. So I'm just saying, sometimes we're gonna go heavy on my mind and what it creates, how does it creates my mindset. So I just wanted to do a little pause here and do a little parenthesis and make sure that we all know this. So now I'm done, we're closed, let's go. What are my current limiting beliefs? And mine, when I say it out loud, it sounds so sad, and yet I'm trying to have this own support for myself, because I know I've had this, for my closest people, they know I don't remember 20 years, the first 20 years of my life. That's a traumatic results. I just don't remember it. I remember glimpses here and there. And the glimpses I remember are mostly not the brightest. They're often dark moments that created those trauma, that created those limiting beliefs, and all that has a lot of big triggers. So my biggest limiting belief at the moment is that my life baggage is so big, is so much of a toll, that makes it hard for someone to love me. But I know that deep down, that's only this limiting belief, that I know I'm worthy of love, and I know I'd be a great girlfriend, a great wifey, and I know what I bring to the table, and I know my self-worth. But this limiting belief comes from years of baggage, and often mostly years of baggage that I don't even remember. And it feels like a heavy toll to ask somebody else to support. So often that's why this limiting belief is present, and it's heavy, and I'm working towards it. I'm working towards it in therapy every day in my life. I'm just trying to acknowledge that it's fine and it's okay, and well, I will be loved. I'm not afraid I'm gonna be alone the rest of my life. That's not what I'm saying. It's just that often this limiting belief comes around, and it stops me from taking those risks. It stops me to go talk to that cute guy, that cute gym crush, or whatever, because I'm too scared that once that person gets to know me and realize how much work I have to do, and also I've been doing the work. I've been growing, and I grow every day, but I mean, I get scared of going to talk to somebody when I truly believe there's something that could be, there's something there, there's something that could be turned into like a relationship or something. So that's one limiting belief, and I'm working towards it, and I'm gonna get through it, and I'm reading books, I'm working on my self-worth, working on my self-confidence, and everything that goes around it. Another one is often, again, it's all about love today. Another one is that the guys I am attracted towards are not interested in me. And that's the funniest thing, because like I said, the minute I am attracted to somebody, I am afraid to go and talk to them because I think I am too much, I have too much baggage. So then I run away. So how am I supposed to know that that person that I find interesting would be interested to me? Again, this is just what I call confusion. So me and my limiting belief. Now, again, like I said, I was able to identify it by looking at the patterns. There was that one guy, which I literally ran away from him for like a month. And I'm not gonna lie, I was running away. Every opportunity I had to go talk to him, I would run away. Or completely act like if he doesn't exist. That's one. And I was like, why am I doing this? I actually want to talk to this person. Why am I doing this? And then I was like, I'm taking notes. Maybe it's gonna, give me more information. Then at some point I was experiencing a little bit of anxiety at other moments, like, oh, he's here, I'm feeling anxious, not like those butterflies. Or another person arrived and I was like feeling anxious. I'm like, why am I feeling anxiety now? And then often I realized that my anxiety can be triggered by those limiting beliefs. So I was kind of, I don't want to say like released. Like when I understood, I was just like, okay, I'm just starting to see a pattern here. And then I was being mindful of all the opportunities I was avoiding. Like, why did I start changing my gym schedule, my own gym routine, to avoid seeing somebody? I was like, okay, things are happening, my patterns are there. And I was like, okay, why? And that, now we're talking about more of like me and love interests. But I used to do that for money. I used to have those big ideas, start businesses, and then I didn't follow through my plans because I was scared of what was going to happen. I'm the type of person that often is really scared of hurting somebody else because I say, I don't wish pain to anybody and I don't wish sadness to anybody because I am so afraid that I say something that traumatize a person long enough for them to start forgetting about their own life. So I often watch what I do. So often I was scared that if I would do something, then I would be making the other one not only uncomfortable, but I would create some cycle, some trauma cycle, and it would be all because of me, and that was my biggest scare. So I didn't feel like I should continue to pursue my dreams when I saw that they could actually get bigger, that I was like, I can actually do this. I am worthy of it, and I know I can be good at it. And then the minute I realized that, back in the days, I used to stress a lot, have anxiety, and then stop completely. And at some point, it's by thinking and looking at my action and being mindful of my words that I realized what it was behind it. And it was all a question of perception. So your limiting beliefs have an impact on your decision making. And when you realize that, you're able to see more of the patterns that they are creating. Like that, it gets easier to figure it out and to understand them. Now, what is helping me or has helped me break these limiting beliefs? Now, you heard the two big limiting beliefs I am currently working on, which one of them is, I think, one of the biggest I've worked on for a long time. So what do? I do a lot of breathing exercise. You're gonna hear me all for on most of all the episode, but I say often one breath at a time. That comes from sports. I used to play a lot of flag football. I used to coach it. It's one of my favorite sports. Football, like American football, is one of my favorite sports. And we have a saying in football, and we say it's one play at a time. Don't think about your past mistakes. Don't think about the last play. Did it work? Did it not? Whatever. Because at the moment you're hearing, you're ready, you're on the line, and you hear that set hunt, you know that the minute the ball is up, that's a new play, that's a new moment. So from that moment, I applied it to everything. I applied it when I was even in karate. It's one fight at a time. You give your all for those 3 minutes, and then did you do good? Are you going to the next one? Are you not? Whatever, the most important, whatever happens is in the present moment. What happens on the turf happens on the turf. Whatever else that happens outside the turf is not the same thing. So I often do those little breathing exercise to bring myself, all my attention back into the present moment by simply breathing one breath at a time. And when I mean one breath at a time, I mean feel the air around you. Breathe. Breathe in and fill the air. Fill your nasal cavity, then your whole body, then you feel it in your lungs, and then when you exhale, you feel all the warm air coming out of your mouth, coming out of your nose, and then you do this and you concentrate over and over again, and it just brings you back to the present moment. And when you're back in the present moment, you know that the most important is being present. It's not if the past has an impact on now, you know that now is happening. And whatever happened in the past doesn't matter anymore because the present is now. Whatever happens in the future doesn't matter because the present is now. And you have to be fully attentive. Often that suits my anxiety, suits my fears, and when that is happening, often that helps. So breathing, exercising, and acknowledging also the fear behind those limiting beliefs. Let's go back to my two, right? So for example, the smallest one, the guys that I am attracted or interested in are not interested in me back. What is that fear? Is the fear of being rejected. Is the fear that if ever I take my ovaries, now I have those little things, somebody's gonna need to tell me what they are called in English so I can say it every time. I'm doing those little 2 fingers in the air type of thing. If you're listening, if you're watching, you're seeing me doing it. My balls, like I said. And I go talk to this guy that I am interested in, then this limiting beliefs just shows me that I am fearing the rejection. And at the same time, I have to tell myself that rejection is not always a bad thing. When one door closes, another one opens. You just have to find it. That's how I go. That's how I see it, right? Another acknowledging the fear behind my limiting belief, the one with the baggages that makes me hard for someone to fall in love. It's often this, like, I'm just fearful that someone is going to think I'm too much to handle and that they will leave the minute they figure out how much trauma or how much baggage I come with. And I know everybody has their load of baggage, and I say I'm never going to judge someone for how they, like, their own baggage, because I've never lived in your shoes, and whatever you're experiencing that you think is the worst thing in the entire world, it can't be the worst thing in your entire world. So your worst thing can be totally different than mine, but if this, our both worst is the worst we lived, then they have the same value. They have the same value. So I'm never going to judge somebody else, but it's not everybody that has this mindset of not judging, this philosophy of not judging another person's experience for that. So I know. Okay, behind these fears are residuals, can't say that word, residual of past trauma, and that the past isn't necessarily the present or the future. So all these past traumas are not a cycle that will always happen in the present or in the trauma. The best example for that is that at some point earlier this year, there was this, I got trolled by a bunch of guys, and the first thing that popped in was like, oh my God, am I getting bullied again? And I was like, no, I'm 25. I'm not getting bullied. I'm not getting, like, no, it's not happening. Like, this is not it. Talk to my therapist. And it was the funniest thing because when she brought her side, this outside voice, I was able to realize that sometimes that's maybe their way of just trying to, you know, like make me laugh or try to, I don't know how to say it in English. It's just, you know, they say, there's a saying that we like troll the people that we love kind of thing. And they weren't trying to make me sad or anything. They were just trying to like create conversation, create opportunities to talk. And when she said that, it soothed my mind so much. This little inner child that was scared and ready to run because I was getting trolled at. And I was like, oh no, is it again? I'm being always bullied by boys and blah, blah. And she was like, maybe it's just our way of trying to get to talk to you or just trying to get to become friendly with you. And I was like, okay, now I see it. And now I understand that the past trauma isn't necessarily my present or even my future. So that's one example that I have for that. Another way that is helping me break these limiting beliefs is that behind each limiting belief, there's a need that I want to fulfill. There is this need, is it worth me self-sabotaging? Because often when you have those limiting beliefs, since it has this big effect, this big impact on your decision making, and that it creates this need of avoiding those challenges, well, sometimes you don't realize it, but you're just self-sabotaging it. And for the biggest example, me running away from this one guy that I found cute for a month, that's me self-sabotaging. I don't see it. I was just in like flight or flight mode and just flying my way out of wherever he was. That's not me trying to play games. It was me just self-sabotaging this opportunity. And when you take a time and you see all this self-sabotage, your limiting beliefs are making you do, you have to take a second and ask yourself, what is that need I want to fulfill? And is that need important to me, to you? Is it important for me to follow my dream, to dream about love, or to dream about having this business, having this podcast, having this body, how important is this need? And would you let somebody else sabotage this need that you have? No. So why are you letting yourself do it? why are you letting yourself self-sabotaging your own needs, your own dream? Those limiting beliefs are there as like this constant reminder of the past. This, I don't want to say nostalgia, but I want to say this kind of this, now I'm putting those things again up in the skies, but the limiting beliefs are kind of like, that's how I see it. This kind of the shadow side of nostalgia, of this, all this trauma, all this impact that it had. You have the right to say, thank you for the warning. Thank you for being there and letting me know and reminding me that at some point I was hurt, or at some point I was scared. And thank you for giving me that warning. But I'm gonna be okay. I'm gonna be great. I grew. I want to grow. I want to experience. I want to be a better version of myself. So I'm gonna take the risk. I'm gonna try this time, and I'm gonna believe that I deserve it, because I do. And I'm gonna give it a shot. And I'm gonna be grateful for everything that this experience, this risk, this person will bring into my life, because I'll be able to be a better person afterwards. There are many books that can help you with those limiting beliefs. I am currently reading a book. Its name is Worthy. Now, again, I am terrible with names. I really need to get better at this. The name of the author, Jamie Lee Curtis, I think. Amazing woman. This book, game changer. Game changer. If you live with a lot of limiting belief, even imposter syndrome, this book is an amazing book. Other podcasts, On Purpose by Jay Shetty is my favorite podcast of all time. His books are all amazing. I recommend, you'll see that I'll be recommending a bunch of podcasts, a bunch of books from what I read. Hopefully they'll be able to help you. If you're starting to read books that are more self-help and mindset, there's a book called The Mountain Is You. Do I have the, is it? Can't see it. Brianna West, I think. It's a really light book that starts to talk about all of these subjects. Worthy is really more intense. It's really more in-depth. But these are the books that I recommend if ever you want to work on your limiting beliefs. Again, like I said, On Purpose is a great podcast. There's My Psychology of My 20s also, that was really good. There's many more, but these are the ones I am recommending for this subject mostly. So it seems like we covered today's subject. Thank you for making the time to unfog with me and to hear me talk and to make my dream a little bit more real every time. And thank you for spending the last 30 minutes or so together. Hopefully my words and this episode soothed your mind, brought you clarity, made you think, made you maybe more hopeful. I hope that if it did, and it did have an impact on you, then you can let me know by liking, sharing, commenting on whichever platform you find the podcast, which would be on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, Don't forget there's more content on Instagram and on TikTok. Again, thank you for your time, for your energy, for your ears, wherever you are, whoever you are. I am truly grateful for your presence. I hope that you like this episode and that I will see you next week for another episode. And on this note, enjoy your day, enjoy your present moment.